I can feel the energy here.
We made it up the shaky stairs.
We made it up the stairs. I can feel the energy in Miami.
No incident.
How are you feeling, Mr. Mayor? This weekend is huge for you.
Wow, it's really hard to put into words to articulate how special this moment is. It's really the icing on the cake on 24 months of hypersonic growth that we've seen here in Miami, where we have attracted $2 trillion in assets under management companies in the last 18 months. We've grown our VC pipeline by 200%. And to put that number in context, if it were a zero-sum game and we would grow at the same rate for 2 more years, we'd actually overtake San Francisco as the venture capital of the United States and of the world. So it's been just great to be number one in tech job growth, number one in tech job migration, have an unemployment rate of 1.4%, being the happiest city in America, the healthiest city in America, number one in pandemic recovery, Financial Times designating us as the most important city in America. Yeah, you can clap for that. I think it's worthy of a clap. And I think for me, what's most important is I was born here. I was born and raised here, and I love this city. And I walk with this city in my soul and in my heart. And when I see us reach these kind of heights, it just makes me feel so special. And I think we're now a beacon of hope for not only America, but for the world. And we're seeing everybody in the world converge on Miami this weekend. So I'm very grateful to be here with you.
Why is Miami the right city for this event? I mean, you go anywhere in Miami today, you see F1, there's so much promo everywhere, but talk to us about the process of actually getting F1 here.
I think it has to do with the sort of macro disruptions that we're seeing in the world. You have a tri or quad generational disruption in the metamorphosis from the Industrial Revolution to the digital economy. And then you have that combined with a generational disruption from the boomer generation to the next generation. So the fact that those two things are happening at the same time, and Miami has leaned into that, what I call a tsunami of opportunity, has helped us reposition the center of gravity of the country in private equity and venture capital from New York and Silicon Valley to Miami. It's been a Flymo effect, right? A flywheel plus fear of missing out combined. I call it Flymo. Effect.
Did you just make that up?
I did.
Okay.
But I think all the convergence of that, which by the way has garnered not just the attention of the country, but of the Middle East and us being sort of the epicenter of 5 major markets in New York, California, South America, the Middle East, and Europe, creates this incredible confluence of factors that are conspiring in our favor. And Formula One is the perfect sort of convener for this moment worldwide.
Where does crypto fit into that? Because a lot of people call you the crypto mayor sometimes.
I don't mind that.
Often, I know you don't mind.
Yeah.
I live in New York, where New York Mayor Eric Adams is also trying to be the crypto mayor, crypto capital. Yeah, you guys kind of have a little rivalry going. What's the status of this rivalry?
Well, the status of the rivalry is I'm first and he's second.
Why?
Well, first of all, he's my friend. He's a great guy. I'll tell you, I met him when he was the nominee. He had not been mayor-elect. And I found it incredibly, I think one of the big things about him was he came to Miami before he was mayor to find out what we were doing and why we were being successful and why so many New Yorkers were coming to Miami. And I thought, first of all, that was incredibly humble of him. And second of all, I was wowed. This is the mayor of New York, or the presumptive mayor of New York, coming down here to learn about what we're doing. And I don't know how many of you have actually interacted with him or have met him. Eric is the kind of guy that when he walks into a room, he has a huge smile, and the smile kind of disarms you, and it kind of calms you. So we hit it off from day one. I did not have the same relationship with his predecessor that I have with him. And I think it's a friendly rivalry born out of friendship and a desire, frankly, as I'm now president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, so I'm president of all the mayors in the country. And my job now is not just to be the mayor of Miami, but to try to find our formula for success and scale it nationally to cities like New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, and others that maybe are struggling a little bit right now.
What does that look like, though, especially when you talk about crypto investment? Because right now, Miami is 5th to a lot of other cities in this nation in terms of crypto investment. So what does that look like in your opinion?
Well, I don't know if you ever heard of the saying, there's statistics, and then there's damn liars or something like that. I forget exactly how that saying goes, but we may be number 5 from maybe an aggregate investment perspective, but we're number 1 in the growth of our venture capital percentage, right? We've grown 2,000% in crypto investments year over year. We're number 1. I think number 2 is about 400% increase, and it may be New York. But I think for us, crypto was the slingshot in the David and Goliath story, right? If we are competing with someone who is bigger and stronger, we have to be smarter. So that was our hack on how we were going to become prominent in a increasingly technological world and ecosystem. And so having had experience with blockchain technologies, being on the Blockchain Foundation and being on the blockchain task force of the state of Florida, I knew the technology. I had a background in finance, and my dad's an engineer, sort of an engineering family. And so I understood the technology at a fundamental level, and I realized that I wasn't taking risks that I felt were inordinate. And obviously, many people across the country that were public officials didn't fully understand the technology, didn't fully understand why it was something that was important. But I'll finish by saying this. I was recently on a national business television show, and an older commentator, I won't say which one because it's kind of a rival to Bloomberg, asked me, he said, Mr. Mayor, and I cannot imitate his British accent, so maybe that'll give you
not today
a clue of who it is. He said, Mr. Mayor, I don't understand this crypto thing. And I said, let me give it to you in terms you can understand. So a company called FTX spent $200 million naming our arena. I said, we just got the Bitcoin conference from LA. That's 50,000 attendees and tens of millions of economic development dollars, right? And then I said, we've gotten all these exchanges and funds to come over and companies to come over, creating hundreds of $100,000 jobs. I said, do you understand it now? And he said, I get it. So it's an ecosystem.
It's slowly working. I want to bring up a Twitter poll because we love Twitter polls here at Bloomberg. Cool. And specifically when we talk about digital innovation and crypto investment, this is what our poll said. In order for Miami to become the hub, accept crypto everywhere, attract top tech talent, and business and tax incentives. Where are we seeing crypto being accepted, really? I mean, are the Miami residents using crypto in the way that you're sort of envisioning?
Well, I think last year was what I call the year of mainstreaming. In other words, the year where people all understood at some level or another what crypto was, right? And I say that this year, and we're already through, we're in May now, right? Should be the year of utility. Right, and it should be accepting crypto everywhere. It should also be applications on the blockchain. And so I agree with that. The people who responded in that poll, I think that's the easiest way for crypto to be a bigger part of our lives is for it to sort of metamorphosize or transition from being something that we now know about to being something that we now use on a daily basis.
Is it happening though? I mean, when you look at something like Miami Coin, right, that hasn't been doing as well as I think you'd hoped.
So there's two things. I was sort of layered two questions there. So is it happening? The answer I think is to the is it happening question is yes, it is happening. I recently saw a story, and I forget what the publication was, about people that were buying yachts in crypto, buying homes in crypto. So yes, it is happening. The Miami Coin project is a different project, and it was created by a company called City Coin, which is unaffiliated with any city. They've now created, I think, New York Coin and also an Austin Coin. Yep. And I think the idea of Miami Coin was a good idea, or New York Coin or Austin Coin, right? Which is that you can create a cryptocurrency that will derive a benefit or create a benefit for the cities, right? And then you have this decentralized autonomous community that can opine on how to use those funds that are created as a result of that benefit. In the city of Miami, it's created about $15 million in benefits, $5 million of which we use as a rent stabilization fund. I was, like I said, with the mayor of Austin, New York, and Denver this week in LA. And we're seeing 50% increases in rents in all 4 of those cities.
Including Miami.
Including Miami, right, including us. So we used it to help with that issue. I think, and I've said publicly, that I think the tokenomics of Miami Coin are off. And I think it seems like the OK Coin, which is one of the major listing exchanges, is aware of that and is now trying to fix it. you know, I don't want to get too technical on tokenomics and things of that nature, but all of these currencies to some extent are inflationary, right? All of these technologies are inflationary at some extent. And Bitcoin, which has been around for about 13 years, has about 19 million Bitcoin. It's obviously its top end is 21 million, which they say it will reach at about 2100. Miami coin in less than a year has 3.65 billion issued. So I think that's way too much. That's way too inflationary. So they've got to fix that. They got to find a way to fix that. And if they do, I think that the core of the project can be successful.
And let's just go back to the poll a little bit, because part of the interest here in Miami, in order to make it a hub, is attracting top tech talent. When it comes to companies, what companies are you talking to, are you speaking with, to come here to Miami? I mean, your governor, Ron DeSantis, has been out and talked about Elon Musk potentially coming here. Is that a conversation that you've had, and who else potentially have you talked to?
Well, let me first address sort of that entire metric, right? So we're #1 in the nation right now in tech job growth, and we're #1 in the nation in tech job migration. And when you look at a place like Silicon Valley, for example, 95% of the people in Silicon Valley were not born in Silicon Valley, right? It's not like they don't have like a massive hospital there for people to be born. So the point is that, people go where capital is and where they can scale, right? And the fact that we're becoming a massive aggregator of capital and a massive deployer of capital is going to attract people from around the world. Having said that, we'd love to have Twitter here. I have tweeted at Elon Musk.
Have you talked to him personally?
I have not talked to him personally. I don't have his cell phone number.
Okay.
He doesn't have my cell phone number as far as I know. No, we have friends in common. And if at any moment he wanted to reach out to have that conversation, we have talked about some of his other companies like the Boring Company and doing a comprehensive transportation system here in Miami underground. And we've talked in other occasions, but certainly we would love to have Twitter here. We think that that what he is trying to accomplish with Twitter dovetails very nicely with the brand of the city of Miami.
Are there other companies that you've been potentially in talks with coming here?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically infinite number of companies, but
some of the promising ones, maybe.
I'm trying to think if I don't violate any confidences here. Look, Microsoft just took a big, increased their stake here, 50,000 feet. Blackstone Tech just increased their FTEs by 400%. McKinsey just increased their FTEs by 400% as well. There's been talk about Apple. There's been talk about places like Cisco. There's been talk about Twitter. So, I mean, you're talking about what I would put those in what I call the anchor tenant category. And then I think what's really cool about Miami is that we were very, very entrepreneurial. We have a tremendous startup culture. We were ranked #1 in the nation in startups by the Kauffman Foundation a few years ago. What now you're seeing is scale, right? Or, the ability to scale. And so you have people like Keith Rabois and Orlando Bravo, Dan Sunheim. They're young people, right? They're people that are in their late 40s, early 50s, who have brought billions of dollars in funds here. I think Thoma Bravo's now over 100 billion. D1 Capital's at 30, 40 billion. CI Financial, who's run by a young Canadian, is $256 billion fund, right? So these people have a 10, 15, 20-year runway. So all we're seeing is the moment. What I'm seeing is the future. And the future for our city is incredible.
Is Amazon potentially also going to expand here?
Amazon has already expanded in Coral Gables, and certainly I think we're on the cusp of getting something big, like Jeff Bezos moving here or Elon Musk moving here. I firmly believe that when the tweet came out that said F Elon Musk, and he said message received, had it been in this moment, he would have moved to Miami, not Austin.
Not Austin.
No. Listen, there's nobody in Sao Paulo or Paris or any other part of the world saying, man, I can't wait to get on that plane to Austin. It's just, it's just not happening.
That is a bold statement.
I mean, listen, if you can find me somebody in Colombia or anywhere that's saying, I can't wait to get on that plane to Austin, please videotape it for me. Because
this is on the record.
It is. It's fine. Listen, Steve's a good friend. I love Steve, and I don't want Joe Rogan to beat up on me. But I don't think Austin has, as much as I like Steve and I love this sort of Austin is weird Austin, right, brand, it's not an international city. I don't think they would argue that they're an international city. I think Miami is a global city. And like I said, we're in the epicenter of 5 mega markets. And none of those 5 markets are any closer to the other ones than we are to all of them.
Well, let's just talk about, I mean, you brought up Texas, the differences here in Florida, one of which being, of course, the Parental Rights and Education bill that Governor Ron DeSantis recently signed. We've seen companies come out and, express their own concern with it, right, with coming to Florida. So does that get in the way potentially of your expansion plans for the city?
My view of that is, look, I think all of us can agree that, children should not be learning sexuality in the school system, right? That the parents are the right,
Should not be?
Should not be. And I think parents are the right venue for that. At the same time, we have a thriving LGBTQ community here in Miami. And that's something that we also believe in nurturing, right? We believe that we should have a thriving LGBTQ community here in our city, and it's part of our identity, right? Part of the diversity of our city is that we do have that, and we embrace that. And I'm a Republican. I'm not ashamed to say that. And at the same time, I'm also not ashamed to say what I just said earlier.
Have you had conversations, though, with Governor Ron DeSantis following him signing that bill? Because we've seen Disney pull.
I haven't spoken to the governor in like 3 years.
Okay. So then how do you get, also on the record here, maybe he'll talk to you. Are you concerned at all, though? He knows my number. I mean, I know you said the LGBTQ community is growing here, but Disney has, stopped political donations in Florida because of this reason. So how do you get around some of these concerns that companies have?
I think you should be asking the governor these questions.
Well, but I mean, if you talk about Miami being a hub, this will inevitably be something that the companies ask you about.
Look, I would be happy to address those issues on a case-by-case basis with any company that has a problem with it. Obviously, the Pivot Conference left Miami, and that was something that I would have preferred not to see happen. Kara, who interviewed me, it was a great interview, and Scott, are great people. And it would have been wonderful to keep that conference. We should have kept that conference. I spoke to her about it. She understands that it wasn't anything that I did personally. And our county mayor also tried to intervene. And I think what happens is, look, these ideological battles have real consequences, right? And they affect people. They affect people's lives. They affect people's jobs, right? And I think that's something we've got to really be conscientious of. This is when something goes from the ideological to the real, it becomes magnified, right, in its impact. And so, look, some people say that some people like to make a statement. I like to make a difference. Okay, that's what I'm about. So, just leave it at that.
Governor, what do you say to Miami residents? I mean, you said you're born in Miami, who are seeing sort of this explosive growth happening in the city. They're seeing rents rising. They're seeing a lot of changes happening around them. What do you say to those who maybe think this is all happening really fast for them? Especially those who might get priced out of living here when you have all these other people coming in.
It's the #1 issue right now, rising rents. And I think the first thing we have to understand is, why is it happening? And we have to ask ourselves, why is it happening? When I sit in a room with the mayor of Austin, the mayor of New York, and the mayor of Denver, and we're all seeing the same thing in our cities, which are, very different cities in very different parts of the country. We know that it's not a Miami thing, it's not an Austin thing, it's not a Denver thing, it's not a New York thing. It's something that's happening across our country. And part of the reason why is because government has lost complete fiscal responsibility. They're spending money like a drunken sailor. And right now, what people don't understand is there's still $2.1 trillion that has not hit the street. That's $950 billion from the American Rescue Plan, Part 2, because it came in 2 tranches. So Tranche 1 was delivered last year, Tranche 2 will be delivered next year, and $1.2 trillion of an infrastructure bill that still has not hit the streets. So if you think we have inflation now, aside from the supply chain issues that we have, which are both physical and human supply chain issues, particularly with the conflict in Ukraine, it's not pretty what we have, before us. Now, what are the answers? I think one is we have the ability to grow. The city of Miami, has the ability to grow 10x in its development envelope. So the delta between what's built and what can be built is a 10-to-1 multiple. And I think that's, that gives us the ability to grow, where other places like, for example, San Francisco, which has artificially limited its supply, or New York that's kind of built out, they have to struggle with some of those issues. We have 47,000 units in our residential pipeline right now to be built in the next 2 to 3 years. And that's about a 25% increase in our entire housing stock. So we have that. We've also dedicated about $100 million for affordable housing that we're leveraging at a 20-to-1 or 15-to-1 ratio in the capital stack, meaning for every dollar we put in, we're getting $15 to $20 from the private sector matching it. And that's going to provide us with tens of thousands of affordable housing units going into the future. So I don't think that there's a community in America that has a better shot at coming out of this in a better way than we do.
Despite all of the tech and everything that is pouring in, the crypto coming into the city, you still are optimistic about it?
Well, look, we have hyper demand. Everybody wants to be here. Last time I checked, I can't put up a wall to prevent them from coming. So,
are you trying to?
I'm not, of course not. I mean, 70% of the people that live in this city were not born in this city. I'm the first mayor of Miami in the 125-year history of the city that was actually born in the city of Miami, right? And that's a true statement. So it means that we've always embraced outsiders. We've always embraced immigrants. We're a city of immigrants. My parents were exiled from their country of birth, which was Cuba, because a leader at that time said, hey, just give us all your property and give us all your businesses, and don't worry, I'll make everybody equal. And he accomplished that goal. He made everybody equally miserable. It was 100%. So yeah, I mean, that's the trauma that we contextualize our experiences through.
What's the main concern when you talk to Miami residents, sort of in the short term and the long term, about the city?
I think the main concern is obviously rents in the short term. In the medium term is we want to create a Miami that's here for everyone. We don't want to create a Miami that's here for some. We have a brand that's called Miami Forever, and then we put a Y on it, and then O-N-E, right? Miami for everyone. We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to realize the American dream as they see it. So for us, that means upskilling, education. For me, education is a great equalizer. And I think we have to do everything we can to give people the educational opportunities to succeed in a modern day economy, in an ever-evolving, ever-disruptive economy. And that's what we're focusing on. We have a couple of hacks to get there. But when I wake up in the mirror, when I wake up in the morning.
And look in the mirror. It was close. Close.
When I wake up in the mirror, looking up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, look at the mirror, I have to be convinced that I'm doing everything I can to create a more fair city and give people, because we all know that we didn't start at the same starting line. And I think that's a truth. No matter what party, ideology, that's just a fundamental truth. Anybody can beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter dash if they start at the 90th meter. So I think we have to think profoundly about that and what we can do to make the world fair. I don't think it's a government. I think there's a lack of humility sometimes in thinking that government is the solution to every problem. I think we should do it with the NGO community, the religious community, our civic community, our corporate community, and our government community working together to create the kind of world that we can all be proud of. And that's what's going to make us not just a Miami that's here forever, but an America that's here forever.
All right, and Mayor, just finally, we're talking about 2024 already. I know your term doesn't end until 2025.
That's true.
You've talked about it being exciting to take a higher role. What would that look like?
What would it look like? I don't know how to answer what would it look like.
What would it be?
What would it be? Okay, it would be a higher role.
Come on,
sure.
Give us more.
You said we're on the record, right?
Come on.
Look, I'm blessed to be president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors through the middle of next year. I do think that I want to see a country that is unified. I do want to see a country that embraces the American dream in whatever form and fashion. I do want to see a country that strives for fairness. I do want to see a country that understands the disruptive opportunities and disruptive threats that exist in terms of creating that prosperity. So, I'm sort of taking that journey one day at a time.
Is that the America of today, you think?
I don't think so.
So we got a ways to go.
I do think we have a ways to go. But I'm optimistic. I'm bullish. I think other people see that same landscape in a very pessimistic way, and it's understandable because, you know, politics in today's day and age can be depressing when you see the hyper division. But one good thing with me is I'm not Washingtonized, so that's good.
No, you're Miami-ized.
I'm Miami.
Let's just call it that. Yes. Mayor Suarez, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.